Great. Hey everyone, welcome back to Twin Talks Ballet. My name is Kirsten. I'm a mindset coach for dancers and a former professional dancer. And today I have my lovely friend Lauren Herfindahl with me. Lauren is a second soloist with Boston Ballet. And first, Lauren, thank you so much for being on the channel. So excited for our conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to talk with you and share this with your YouTube viewers. It's really exciting.
Yes, me too. So today we're going to specifically talk about the mindset that goes into being in a top professional company. And really, I can't wait to ask you more questions about the importance of, we're going to talk about probably positivity, resilience, gratitude, all these sorts of different aspects of how your mind comes into making you really excellent at what you do. So excited to talk about that and really to just kind of get more of an inside view of what it's like to be in a top professional company and how that is different than being a student or maybe being in a lower pressure environment. So I'm excited to get into the good stuff. But first, can you tell us a little bit more about your background as a dancer and where you are today?
Yeah, of course. So I'm with Boston Ballet. I'm a second soloist, and I trained at Boston Ballet School for a long time. Feels like a long time. I was 9 years old when I started at the school. My family moved to the area at that time, and my mom looked up the best ballet school near where we lived, and that turned out to be Boston Ballet School. So I was really lucky to get some good training there, and then I was very lucky to get a contract with Boston Ballet too out of their trainee program. So I spent 2 years in Boston Ballet too, and then this is my 7th year in the company. So 9 years total of being with Boston Ballet. So yeah,
oh my goodness,
it's been my family and my it's been my
gosh.
family and my home for a long time, and I've grown up here and I love it. So yeah, it's
That's
great.
so amazing. And I feel like we should tell a little bit of the story of how we met because it's kind of a cute story. I kind of forgot to mention that. So you were so kind to reach out to me after I posted that video where I was a crying hot mess. I was talking about just a really low point I had hit in my injury recovery process in 2017. And I made that video in the summer. And it just so happened that you were recovering from an ankle injury, if I remember correctly. And you reached out to me on Facebook. And first, when I got a friend request from a second soloist at Boston Ballet, I was like, what? And then you sent me this kind message, and we ended up being pen pals and supporting each other through recovery. And it turns out you got better. I did not, but we've remained friends. And I'm so grateful that you sent that message. It's been such a sweet thing to be friends with you.
Oh, thank you. No, this has been a really great friendship and a virtual friendship because we'd never actually met.
That's a weird thing.
But yeah, no, I went through quite a few injuries actually right after I got promoted to second soloist. I was dealing with an ankle injury, and I was also at a very low point, saw your video, and it just really spoke to me, and I had to reach out. And it did not end up being my last injury. I ended up having 2 more over the next 2 years. So basically it was almost 3 years of being injured. Thankfully, I've been trying to come out of the other side, and I feel much stronger, and it's turned out okay so far. And I'm very thankful for every opportunity to be on stage, but I'm really thankful to have connected with you. So, and I think what you're doing
is such a good story.
So great because it's so amazing to have so much information out there available to aspiring dancers and professional dancers and recreational dancers. There's just so much information that is really important to share. So it's great.
Thank you, Lauren. So sweet. And we are going to make a video together talking about your injury experience and the wisdom you've gained through recovering several times. So make sure you're subscribed, people. Turn on the notification bell so you don't miss it. Just had to say that really YouTuber thing there. But okay, let me consult my phone because, I got some questions written down. Hey there. I just want to briefly pause this video to ask you if you are a creature of habit like most dancers are. Buying those same old tights that you may think are fine, but they maybe give you elephant knees. They constantly rip at the crotch. They are constantly fading very quickly. They are not comfortable. They get saggy. Not nice. Well, let me just ask you to step out of that comfort zone a little bit and become a little less of a creature of habit and urge you to try Zerily Tights, which is what is sold on balletok.com, the generous sponsor of today's video and many of my other videos. I'm very grateful for their ongoing support, which keeps Twin Talks Ballet going and the messages I share to encourage dancers going out into the world. So I would love to urge you to try Zerily Tights if you haven't yet, because hey, if comfortable tights are available that also do the work of adding that compression to your legs, which is comfortable, it's gentle, but just enough to keep your legs feeling better longer in the studio. That compression eases the inflammation and slows it from building up so quickly. And then also you get to recover faster between workouts and days in the studio, which what dancer doesn't want that? So you get comfortable tights, tights that have that compression slimming and smoothing everything out, and also doing the work to help you be a better athlete. I love Zerily Tights, can't say enough good things about them, and I would love for you to use my coupon code down below to get $10 off your next order on balletok.com. Support the sponsor that generously supports these videos, and we can all keep Twin Talks Ballet going, and you will thank me for ditching your old tights. Speaking of ditching your old tights, once you have loved the heck out of your Zerily tights or any other brand, you can also use balletok.com's recycling program specifically for tights. I love this concept. To learn more about it and how you can turn your tights in to get a discount on your next order of tights from balletok.com, just visit their website. It's all linked down below, and again, use my coupon code on your next order. So thank you again, balletok.com, and let's continue with the video. So first, what do you think separates good dancers from great dancers mentally?
So I think something that's really important that separates good dancers from great dancers is drive and determination. Yes, everyone works hard, and when you get to the top level of your training, you're in a second company, trainee, you're looking to get jobs, you're auditioning, you're working hard. There's no one out there that is not working hard. Right. You don't make it to that point and have hopes of getting a job if you're not working hard. And so I think what really separates people is the determination on how they're working hard. You know, we all get the work smart, not work hard thing, right. But some people I think can use that as an excuse to not work harder. And I think it's about intelligent and thoughtful work, because I think you have to go into your hard work and your extra work with a goal, with a mindset of knowing that the things you're doing in that extra time in the gym or the extra time in the studio that you're spending, that it's going to get you to that next level, or it's going to get you, more confident in something that you're struggling with, or it's really serving you a purpose and it's not just trashing your body. Because that's really important too. We have to be mindful of what our bodies can do for us, and so we have to take that into account of how we're working hard. And I think just thoughtful and just intelligent work is really, really important, and that's what I see the dancers that I work around with. I've been super lucky to be in the same studio with so many great dancers, and just trying to pick up on the little things that they do and just seeing how they're working is definitely smart, intelligent, thoughtful work will get you far.
So good. And I love that it's a simple point, because so often the greatest wisdom is just really simple. And so, just knowing your desired outcome and the purpose for why you are doing what you're doing does lead to more intelligent, efficient action, because we know as dancers, we have a finite amount of energy. Some people might fight me on that, but your body only has so much it can do and give. And so being really smart about what you are putting your energy towards not only allows you to dance longer, but definitely to be more successful at it. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
So my second question is, in order to have a successful career, what aspects of a dancer's mindset do you think are really important to grow into, or what kind of like what mentality do you think is helpful to have?
Yeah, I think knowing your motivation and knowing that successful isn't going to be a rank or achieving a certain role, that successful has to come from within yourself and feeling confident and proud of what you've done and the work that you've put in whatever your career may look like, because you never know what's going to happen in the next month, in the next year, or in the next season. So being able to find a place where your feeling of success and just
like motivation, right?
Yeah, just motivation just has come from within yourself. So as a student, so many times you're constantly looking to the teacher to being like, am I doing this right? We're looking for that outward validation. And when you get into a company, doesn't happen as often. So you have to find that you're working from a place where you're working for yourself and working for yourself to get towards your goals. Because yes, we absolutely can have the goal of dancing a particular role or getting to a rank or getting into a certain ballet company that is your dream. And absolutely everyone needs to go for that. Like, reach for the stars, go for it.
Yeah.
But you just have to figure out where your motivation comes from, because a successful career is going to look different than what you thought it was. My career has looked different than what I thought it was going to when I joined the company. And I mean, it's still going to look different in a year from now, 2 years from now.
Yeah.
Who knows? And so just really being comfortable and confident with where you're getting your energy from is really going to serve you well.
Absolutely. And I love that earlier we talked about kind of falling in love with dance again after kind of like, as you make that transition from student to professional, you have to take your craft and your work so beyond seriously to the point where you can kind of lose your love for it. But eventually, whenever you make that transition from student to professional and that extrinsic motivation of attention from your teachers, it's not going to be there as much. You're going to start at the bottom ranks of a company. Sure, sometimes you get exciting opportunities that make you feel seen or validated, but so often when you start at a company, it's kind of like a famine for your ego. You know?
Yes, you're just sometimes craving at the bar, like, please just acknowledge that I'm here, like make eye contact with me or something. And you just can't go into work and go into the studio every day expecting that will happen, because you'll just be disappointed day after day after day. And so really finding that love and that love for the work, because we put so much work into putting on a show, putting on performances, learning ballets. Even if you don't get to perform them, there's so much work that goes into it that you have to fall in love with that work. And you have to be in a place where that work is fulfilling for yourself. And I think that's just definitely a transition from student to professional that is, you don't really think about, but it's there.
Yeah, and it is a period that weeds out a lot of dancers, because some recognize that they can't love it for wholesome reasons.
Oh yeah.
And then for others,
and that's
I would
okay.
say, yeah, that's okay. Totally okay. It is not worth staying.
No.
Mark my words. It's not.
Yes, no.
And then for some, I'd say lean into that discomfort, lean into your motivations changing. And sometimes we only will change in ways that we need to change when our old temptations are just completely not even an option anymore. So if your temptation is like, I dance because other people tell me I'm great, if that's taken away, it's almost like great that happens. If you can, make it through.
I mean, it's kind of a rough realization. But I mean, I've gone through it a lot with coming back from injuries and everything too, that like you have to find your love for dance for yourself, and that you're doing this for yourself because it will pull you through the hardest of times. And so that's definitely important. But also, yes, you have to love it and be serious about it, but don't be too serious about it. Like we have to be able to find, especially like in class, when you're a younger dancer, newer dancer, you don't get a lot of attention in class, and that's okay. Use that as time to play with things, try different things, and be able to laugh at yourself. Like rehearsals, serious, yes, we can be more serious in rehearsals, but class, really find it as time for yourself to work on things that you want to work on, try different things, ask your dancer friends of like, hey, I see you might be thinking about this in your turn. What are you thinking about that? Is it something different? And try for yourself. Don't be afraid to fall over. It's just information. It's not failure.
Totally. So I really appreciate your perspective on that, because that's something you are actively doing. And it seems to provide you more, not only more like stimulation and just excitement and just having more of an experimental attitude, but it also seems that the curiosity you have in class can make it such a rich, enjoyable experience for you instead of just focusing on, oh, I have to do this because that's just what we do. Sure, there's responsibility. But also I was reminded when you're talking of what Hannah Bettis said when we did a video together. She was talking about how she wishes sometimes that she could go back into her time in the court of ballet and just love the heck out of that phase, because there's less responsibility. So let's talk a bit about that responsibility that comes with being in a top company.
Yeah, the responsibility and the pressure too, because it's like you put pressure on yourself because you expect yourself to do better and rise to the level that the company you're in and the dancers that you're dancing with. And that's a lot to take on. And the responsibility too is you have to be super responsible and super prepared for every rehearsal, every show. And you're held to a standard, and if you're not meeting it, then you're not meeting it, and you have to make a change. And so, absolutely. Like, that's another thing of like falling in love with the work. And no matter what that work is, even if it's the back line of swans, even if it's a villager in Romeo and Juliet, it's like you get to be on stage performing, doing what you love in a lower pressure situation. Because there are times where when you get to do something bigger and you're just like, that pressure is like a load of bricks on your shoulder, and you just look at the girl doing core flowers and you're like, crap,
I wish I could be you.
but then there are other times where you're in the core flowers going, God, I just want to be doing 2-drop right now. I don't want to be doing flowers. There's both sides to it, and it's always going to be that way. And so it's just finding that like satisfaction with whatever you're doing and trying to find the comfort in knowing that what you are doing is helping you and serving the company, and you're all playing a part of it. It's definitely
absolutely,
it's a full circle effect.
Yeah, totally. And I would love to ask you more about how you handle the really high expectations that are placed on you, and naturally the stress that comes with that. How do you balance that with also this beautiful mindset you have of like curiosity and experimentation and kind of like letting go of that attachment to perfection? How do you do that?
So, I mean, I think that's where it's like class is kind of the time for experimenting, falling over, laughing at yourself. But also, yes, you have to find some like solutions to problems through that kind of play. I think that definitely is the time for getting that feeling in your body of knowing that you can have some tools to fall back on when you are in those higher stress situations, when you're in rehearsals where your artistic director is at the front of the room, or a choreographer or stager, or you're going on stage and performing, like knowing that you have the tools to trust yourself and trust your body to do what it needs to do and what you want it to do. Because you've been practicing for it. You've been preparing for it. You've tried every scenario. And if that comes from, visualizing it, or from practicing it, or touching the parts of your body that make that connection in your mind of like knowing like, I really have to think about this shoulder or this part of my back. And you're making that mind-body connection and being willing to trust yourself, because the more you get out of your head of thinking through all the things that could happen and might happen, that's honestly going to be more destructive than constructive when you're in those higher pressure situations, because your mind is automatically going to negatively say like, what happens if I fall out of that term? What happens if I forget my choreography? What happens if my costume, what if? But what if it goes well? What if you hit that turn? What if you don't feel like you're going to die at the end of your variation? Or what if your feet don't cramp? Like all those things that if you turn that around, like this is something that we've spoken about before that I've put into use. It's like, oh my God, amazing the things that can happen when you really turn it around and go, what if the positive thing happens?
I know. Yeah. That simple.
So just opening up that possibility has, it does take some of the stress off, and it's never the stress and pressure is never going to go away, but how you handle it and how you address it is going to change. And the more that you can figure out how to do that in a positive, constructive way, the better your dancing will be. And the better you feel about your dancing too. That's important.
Yes. Yeah. And the other thing is objectivity. And we were talking about this earlier, and you brought up such a brilliant point that you referenced just now, and, touching the parts of your body that you need to engage. And we were talking about how so often as dancers, we try to correct ourselves through conscious thought, but that is not the language that your body is speaking. When that's not like it's almost like nutrition, like you need to eat food and digest those nutrients in a way that makes the nutrients bioavailable to your body. When you're dancing, it's not conscious thought or words you tell yourself that produce the action or reproduce a successful pirouette. Ultimately, it's the feeling of a correction. Like the conscious thought produces a feeling in your body of, okay, this is what it feels like when I shift my rib over this way, my shoulder. If you just go straight to getting out of your head and saying, okay, that's saying conscious thought, but getting used to, okay, when we do a pirouette, I associate doing a pirouette with that feeling in my body. That's what makes these more difficult movements so easily replicatable. Yes. When you're doing that, as opposed to just getting so in your head, like, I need to do this. And then, oh gosh, I hope I don't get nervous there, because when I get nervous, this happens. Get out of your head, like you said, and get into your body and reproduce feelings. And really that objective feedback you get in class, which is observing, okay, what did it feel like when I did this well? And then being able to trust that you can pull that out of your back pocket when you need it in the stressful situation.
No, that's 100%. That's amazing.
You basically said it, so that was amazing, Lauren.
No, I'm not patting myself on the back. No.
No, I'm patting you on the back. I mean, there's a reason why you're good at this, right? Oh, I would love to ask you about what has gotten easier for you over time as you just get more experienced and you've just had more time in a company, because I think we could use some of that encouragement that some things do get easier and they do get better. So what has happened?
I think something that's gotten easier is definitely like the comfort of surroundings and being comfortable to try different things. And like I said, like in class, when I use that time to be curious and try different things, and like when you first join the company, you're so afraid to make a mistake. At any point, you think everyone's watching you and judging you. And really, if you think about it, most people are so concerned about themselves that they're not watching and judging you as much as you feel like they are, because everyone is there working for themselves. And if you feel like somebody's snarking at you in the corner, they're probably not. They're probably
hungry.
They're probably complaining about something in their own life.
Whoa, headphones. Yeah, you're right though. Like people aren't always thinking about you.
Being comfortable in your surroundings, in your space, that when you get to a more senior status, like it's crazy. I'm like a senior dancer in the company. I'm like, that's crazy. But you do get comfortable with not being afraid to fall over, to try new things, to have a bad rehearsal, because you know it's not the end all be all. You have standing in the company, and yes, you have to constantly prove that you're getting better and that you're there, that you are doing the best of your ability every day. But we're all going to have off days. We're all going to have off shows. Like we're human. It's going to happen, and being comfortable with that and not letting those days stress you out to the point where you're pulling your hanger out and you're anxious about going to rehearsals and class every day, because it is more of a routine, and it does get better.
It gets better. Yay.
Yes, it does. And
I think that's good for younger dancers to hear too.
Yeah.
Because even it seems, and you can speak to this more than me, but it seems that it is important to avoid mistakes when you can. But if you find yourself being so afraid and obsessed, honestly, of avoiding mistakes, because you're more afraid of someone seeing you mess up than, allowing yourself to just present your best and accept that mistakes will be there. If you get into that mindset, not only will you be a lot more stressed, you're not going to be showing your best dancing, and you're probably actually going to make more mistakes, because what the mind focuses on, usually it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy quite easily, especially when that stress becomes physiological. It does lock you up.
Oh yeah, it does. And it locks up your movement, and then you don't feel as good in your body. And so then you don't feel good about how you're dancing, and you don't feel good about how you think you're dancing. And it's just, that gets better the more comfortable you get with your surroundings, the more comfortable you get with your peers, and communicating with your artistic management team of artistic staff members, and your director and your manager and everyone. That just, the more you are able to relax into your situation and your environment and still put in your best work, like, the better your dancing will get. And
absolutely,
I just think that's an important thing to know, is like, the sooner you can try and do that, the better. I know that's not always possible, because a lot of times you're jumping from school to school or company to company, and you don't have the opportunity to do that. But I think it's definitely something that can happen, and it doesn't have to take 9 years. It can, after a couple of seasons, like a season or two, and you really get a role for how the company works, it's time to be able to take a step back and go, how can I reduce the stress level of being afraid of not looking my best 100% of the time? So
you have to be vulnerable in order to show your best, honestly, except that mistakes will be there. Thank you for that wisdom. I think a lot of dancers needed to hear that.
I hope so.
So actually, as someone who has experienced mindset coaching for yourself, what do you think of it as a solution for high-level dancers, specifically those that are facing that stress of, the burden of responsibility on their shoulders, or maybe they're just really tired of struggling mentally with their inner critic just coming up all the time? But generally, for especially high-level dancers, what do you think of mindset coaching as a solution to a lot of challenges that we face?
Yeah, I think it's great. Like, honestly, I've used it, and I have gained so much from it, just not only for my dancing life, but also for like my regular life as well. And so I think it's really something that, if you're interested in giving it a try, like, I say go for it. It's not going to hurt you at all. And if anything, it's going to help tremendously. And just, it gives you more information, more tools to fall back on, more things to file away in your head, because there are so many different situations and so many struggles, and it changes on a daily basis. And if the more things and tools you have to approach your work and your life in a positive, constructive way, it's so valuable. So
and I love that you mentioned it is integrative, because so many dancers can really have a lot of stress, or just a lot of issues we face. It comes from this fixation on all I am as a dancer. And we just talk about, meeting these dancing related goals in order to be a happier person. But sometimes just taking a step back and looking at you as just a whole person, apart from what you do and how you're doing it, can be a really healing experience that is beneficial for you in your outside life, but also having that holistic perspective does serve your ability to perform well on the job.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yay.
No need to add more.
No, that's all definitive. Do it. Okay. And last question, other than working with a mindset coach, what do you think are some just simple things that all dancers can start to do to take care of their mental well-being?
Yeah, I think definitely having something besides ballet that feels like it enriches your life, and that you have something besides this all-encompassing ballet world, because it
Yeah.
can become so consuming that it can create stress in areas of your life that you don't need to have stress. And so the more that you can be a like thoughtful, intuitive person for your own needs in all aspects of your life, the better your dancing will feel. And I think that's really important, of just like having more than just what you do at the studio and on stage.
Yeah.
That even if it's something as simple as having a self-care routine of, I don't know, if you like to paint your nails or do face masks or something that just like centers yourself, and you have time to check in and see how you're feeling, that it's not just all about, oh my God, my foot was not pointed or turned out and I didn't straighten my knee. It's like, and like, I'm not dancing this role in this ballet, but I'm performing this part and I don't like that. Like, there's just so much that can go on in the ballet world, that if we can take a chance to step back from that, it will help so much with the stress and anxiety that we all face and how we can face it. So I think that's something that is really important that I've learned over the years.
Yeah, pour back into yourself, treat yourself like you're of value, you know, and then also put yourself in experiences outside of ballet that allow you to see your craft from a bigger picture perspective, or just frankly, it sounds like having these routines or some other sort of outlet allows you to just not think about ballet for a little bit. And that, I think, will likely help. Well, and also what I've seen in you, like as you've grown in this too, it having other areas of life that are important to you and seeing yourself more holistically and treating yourself more holistically, it allows you to have a healthier relationship with ballet. So you're not desperate for your achievements in ballet to fuel your sense of self-worth or security or well-being, because that's a really scary place to be in. And I think you and I both know from going through injuries that the blessing of an injury is it kind of forces you to kind of take a step back and realize, you know, I'm still a person, I'm still living life, and I'm still okay outside of ballet.
Yes, my identity is not as a ballet dancer. My identity is me and my personality, and you have to figure out who that is. And then that can also enrich your dancing as well, because I've found so much more, like through going through injuries and whatnot, that I love like helping other people in the studio. So I started teaching more, and you know, even just acting as more of a leader to younger dancers in the studio, that you can find comfort in knowing that yourself, you can present more of yourself in the studio than just being a dancer.
So good.
Yeah. So I think there's so much you can learn from taking a step back, and whether that's an actual physical step out of the studio or a mental
one. I think that's a perfect note to end on. Thank you so much for what you shared. I know it's going to be really helpful and encouraging to a lot of dancers who are either aspiring dancers or they're already in a company and they're still figuring all this out, because we're all in process. So thank you, Lauren. Can't wait for our next video about injuries. We've got some beef on that. That's like the least vegan thing I could ever say. Whatever. But thank you so much. It was so fun talking to you, and I can't wait for this video to come out. So
thank you.
And bye, everybody.
Bye.